The information shared on this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay seeking care because of something you heard on this podcast. The views and opinions expressed by guests or hosts are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any affiliated organizations. Reliance on any information provided by this podcast is solely at your own risk. Welcome to the Healthy Image Podcast, where we talk all things health and wellness. Today we have Christine Escobedo, who is one of the managers at our Huntington-Hill Imaging Center in Pasadena. She's been working here at Huntington-Hill for over 28 years. Welcome, Chrissy.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So, Chrissy, where did your radiology journey start with us?
So I was a student at Huntington Hospital, and that's where I got to know the radiologists, Dr. Headley, Dr. Wong, and then graduated. I got hired before I even graduated.
Wow.
So graduated, worked at our imaging center that used to be down the street. It was hospital, and then it flipped over in about a year to the CMBS radiologist, and I got rehired, was an x-ray tech, and that's where I started my x-ray journey. From there, I did x-ray for about 3 years, and then became supervisor of x-ray, and then was x-ray supervisor for a while, and then in about 2000, they needed a CT tech. And so I would go in there every once in a while and help out. And then I got hired in CT. And so really liked CT, was something that I really enjoyed as a student also. Just the dynamics of it, how fast they are, the images that they produce, really fascinating. So when I was in CT, this is not a funny story, but maybe like a week, 2 weeks later, they wanted a supervisor in CT. Since I was a supervisor of x-ray, they decided to put me as supervisor in CT, which was kind of nervous, kind of scary because I was learning CT.
Yeah.
And
You knew the supervisor part, but not the CT
right.
part.
I knew how to manage people. I knew how to deal, with the radiologist and get everything done, but I didn't know CT as well. So it was kind of put me in a spot where the CT tech was training me, but I was supervising the department. Meaning like making sure everything ran on time, making sure everything was done right, protocols and things like that. So that's where my journey went.
Well, in comparison to being an x-ray supervisor to a CT supervisor, is it a lot different?
It is and it isn't. X-ray I knew like the back of my hand, so that one was just easy. CT is a little bit more intense because X-ray is X-ray where it's basic, one plane films. Whereas CT, there's lots to learn. Like there's a lot of protocols, there's a lot of things that need to be done right. Radiation exposure is higher for a patient. So dealing with the radiologist is a lot more, different procedures we would do, things like that. So, but very interesting, very exciting. I always thought CT was exciting, so.
What did you like more about CT than x-ray?
I liked the images a lot more. I liked diving into different diseases, seeing things, which is kind of funny. My two sons saw this journey, and they watched mom come home with these stories, and they even came to the facility. Sometimes one was actually a patient, and so they got to see what mom does. And now both my sons are going into x-ray.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's cool.
so it's kind of funny because me and my husband had this competition where, he works for Edison. So it's like, do they want to come work for Edison? No, they want to follow mom.
Yeah.
So
Mom's job is actually cooler.
which made me proud because they were like, mom's stories and how mom takes care of patients and just I try to instill in my children just like the patient care and like in the community and just be a nice person. And because there's so many people out there that, you guys know, like, are not nice people, but just that aspect of it. But like I can say, I truly just love CAT scan. I love the machine, how it works. I love the images. I love seeing the patients get better. Just that kind. And then the interaction with the radiologist. I like that too.
And so for any CT techs that are listening, how would you describe the vibe of the CT department at Huntington-Hill?
So I always call it my department. CT is run kind of like a family in my department at Huntington. It's everybody's helping each other. We kind of ride on each other's backs sometimes. There's always 2 techs on the floor and a tech aide, so you always have somebody to bounce ideas off of, because I've worked sometimes by myself as a student in certain aspects, and when there's nobody there to like bounce things off of, you kind of get like this state of like panic sometimes, because you're like, oh, I think I know how to do this protocol, but let me just reinforce it, asking the other tech. So in my CT department, I just feel like you're well cared for. We have each other's back. We will get up and help each other with a patient. Difficult IV placement, we're there. Like, you don't even have to ask. Like, if I'm in there trying to do a difficult IV and they see me struggling, they're in there with me. Or they will come without me asking to help me with an IV. So the way we run CT is just, it's structured, it's family, it's a lot of, caring for each other to care for the patient.
And from your experience, what do you think makes your CT techs enjoy coming to work?
That same aspect of having somebody there to help you. You're not doing the load by yourself. There's always enough techs on the floor to get the job done. Nobody's running by themselves.
Yeah.
So I think that takes a lot of the load off. Even though the CT department has a huge volume patient load, it's easy to get through because there's enough employees in there that
Work
get the
as a
job
team.
done.
To support them.
Right.
Yeah, because for the patient to have a good experience, the tech really kind of sets that mood. If they're
Right.
feeling frazzled, the patient can feel that.
Right.
I've gone to places where even just to a restaurant, you go to a restaurant and there's not enough servers, and you kind of feel like you're in their way and they're rushing, and
Right.
you can feel it.
And CT patients, a lot of them have cancer. A lot of them don't know what's going on. They have pain, and they're nervous, and so they come in. And some of them can be frightened. Some of them can be angry. It's not at you. You got to kind of think that mentality where this patient is going through a lot.
Yeah.
It's not focused on you. Don't take it personally. And a lot of them will apologize after the fact too, which is really sweet that they do that. But so when they come into the department, we welcome them. We say them by their name. We, can I get you a blanket? Can I get your, something under your legs to help your back out? If we have a patient that can't move, we get team members to come and pick up that patient to put them on the scanner. So we really don't refuse anybody. We really try not to refuse anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you have a new hire who's a fresh set of eyes, is there anything that they say surprises them in a good way that maybe they weren't expecting when they came to work here?
So when I get new techs and they come in the first day, they're usually like, oh my God, I didn't realize I was going to have so much help. Or, oh my gosh, I didn't know I was going to have a tech aide to help me, do IVs on this patient or help me set up this patient. Because a lot of these techs that I hire come from places where they're by themselves.
That's
And
crazy.
They're doing the load of like 2 or 3 techs by themselves. And that's where mistakes happen. And they'll even admit sometimes like, oh, I didn't have time to do this, or, I didn't have time to do this for the patient, or I did a protocol wrong, or because I was running. So that is never gonna happen in my CT
There's
department.
always like support there.
There is. And being a clinical CT specialist myself, from doing it for so long, I have no problem with any tech coming to me, me being his manager, and asking me a question or helping them out with an IV. That's just how I am.
Or
So
if somebody calls out sick, I think you've even gone in and you're actually scanning
I
patients.
cover the floor.
We're like, where's Chrissy?
I cover the floor.
There you are, helping out.
Yep.
Well, CT Techs wants to grow. How do you shape training or advance opportunities in your dual role to help them get there?
So if I have a tech who's really eager and is doing really well in CT, even in X-ray. So I've even had X-ray techs that have come to me and they want to do CT, and they're doing really great in X-ray, and they're showing their worth, and they're learning, and they're putting forward the work. I will take them and cross-train them in CT. And so when they're not busy in X-ray, or they have some time, they come in CT, they start watching. And they're kind of like shadowing. They shadow and they watch and they shadow. And when I feel like they're getting it
Yeah.
and they can handle the situation, we'll sit them down in the chair and we're like, okay, you're going to scan this patient.
Well, that's
So we do that. We also, CT techs that I've had that are doing really well in CT and want to grow, we've actually trained them in the PET CT department also.
wow. So they can cross train.
That's right. There's a lot of growth.
Oh, wow. How many, like here at Hill currently, how many people have you cross trained in like the 29 years you've worked here?
A lot. I'm going to say at least 7 x-ray techs. We've trained 2 CT techs for PET. Yeah, over the years, we've had a lot.
That's really crazy. I think there's always like room to grow.
There is.
Especially if you start here and they show some sort of
And I love that it
initiative.
warms my heart that an x-ray tech wants to go to CT and not MRI. But MRI's great too. MRI's great too. But I always try to like condition. I'm like, oh, CT's so much better. CT's so much better.
Because you can do PET at the end.
Mm-hmm. CT's so much faster. You can just see,
That is true.
So-
yeah, and you can't. MRIs take a while to get done, which they're necessary at
Right.
times. We need MRIs.
right.
But you
CT
want the
is
techs.
special to my heart. So it's like,
It's your baby.
oh, you want to learn CT? Okay. So, and when we teach CT, there's a lot of places I've heard too. I've gotten texts from other places, and they're like, oh, they just hit this button, hit this button, hit this button. And the way we try to train for CT is know what you're doing. Why are you pushing that button?
Yeah.
So if you ever get lost, you can think in your head like, oh, you're not a button pusher. You're like, I push this button for a reason. Like, because a lot of techs new techs, and they're like, they just learn to push buttons, kind of like a monkey, which I hate to say that, but they
Yeah.
just push buttons and they don't really know why they're doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So we try to train them at Huntington-Hill. We try to train them like, this is why you do that. This is the next step. And this is why, so they have an understanding, I guess you
Yeah.
would say.
Chrissy, your CT department feels very close-knit. Every time I'm there, like they are a work family. When you have a new hire, how does your department help them fit in?
So what I've seen in my experience, we try to really make them feel comfortable, because if you're not comfortable and you feel like an outsider, it kind of distracts you from learning. So when they come in, they're introduced to everybody. We actually introduce them to everybody, MR, CT, ultrasound, front desk, so that they feel like they've already kind of been there. And then we kind of let them shadow everybody. So whoever they kind of feel comfortable, they usually will pick a person.
Yeah.
And then they'll kind of shadow that person all day. Sometimes they'll pick the tech aide because they're comfortable in that position. So they'll follow the tech aide, see how we interview patients, see how we inject patients. And then when they start, you can tell like when they start to get comfortable, because we do students also. When they start to feel comfortable and they're actually like learning how to place the patient, how to talk to the patient, then the last step is kind of let them sit in the chair. And then we'll scan with them. So a tech will always be sitting next to them and kind of reassuring them, like, hey, and if they make a mistake, we don't yell. We're like, hey, you know what? This could be done better, or don't touch that button. Let's go with this button. Hey, this patient looks like a little claustro. Let's kind of go. And if they are having problems with the patient, the tech will step in. So we always tell that person, if it's a student or if it's a new hire, we got your back. So we're always trying to keep people. The best thing is comfortable in there.
Yeah. Well, because they're human beings. They're learning this for the first time. We a lot of times learn from our mistakes. It's better to do it now while you're learning.
Right.
Ask the questions and take the constructive criticism.
Right.
You're not just trying to tell them you did this wrong. It's so they can learn from it and get better at it. And then
Exactly.
then life gets easier once they've got it down. They're not having to think as hard.
Yep. And we get it. When you first walk in that door, you're not focusing. You're totally nervous.
Oh,
So
yeah, for sure.
We start you off slow. We don't throw you in the fire. We start you out slow.
So no one gets just dropped in the deep
No.
end immediately on the first day, and they're like, nope, I don't want to work here.
And let's say that their first day of work is one of those crazy days where there's a bunch of stat add-ons and
that's every
scheduling's
day.
calling. Yeah, scheduling's calling to squeeze them in. I know CT can get very busy. Mm-hmm. How do you guys support each other when it's a crazy busy day like that?
We just control it. So we have every day is probably a crazy busy day, but on the techs, they probably would tell you it just runs smoothly. It's just the way we handle things. like I said, it's a community in there. So everybody is doing something, whether it's helping out with the patient, getting them on the scanner, getting the injection ready, setting the IV, getting the protocol ready, doing the paperwork, letting the radiologist know if something, that aspect of it. They're all working together like it's like a family. So
Yeah, I think Fair Oaks runs like a well-oiled ship, like from the front desk to the greeters to the tech aides. Every one I've ever interacted with has been very, very nice. And I can see that the patients seem very happy when they come to your center.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, because I'll go to the Glendora Center, and I feel like it's the same way.
Yeah, all our centers are pretty much the same, but I feel like Chrissy's center is run in a way where I'm like, if I send a patient over, I know it's going to be taken care of because Chrissy will make sure it's taken care of, but as of all our other centers. But I think, Chrissy, you have one of our biggest centers, and it's run very, very well.
Thank you for that, because I question that every day. I think what helps me is I've been there from day one. I've been a supervisor most of the time I've been there, and I'm a tech, so I know how techs feel, how techs run. So I'm always trying to support, even though I am CT, I've been in MRI helping out in there too. I've been a tech aide. Just because I'm a manager doesn't mean I can't be a tech aide. So if anything's short in the morning, I'm an ultrasound grabbing patients for them. Sometimes I'm an MR trying to help them scan, even though I don't know MR. Sometimes I'm in PET doing PET scans. So it's just me being a tech feels like if I can help out on the floor, then I'm going to help out on the floor if it makes things smoother. And it makes employees really appreciate you more. Because if you ask them to do something that you're doing, it flows a lot better.
And especially if you can't lead by example, they're going to see, well, why do I have to do that?
Right.
So I think you set a really good example for, all the employees
And
there.
I love CT.
I feel like because you've been here so long too, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like this would be helpful, is not only are you supporting what your team needs, but you also know what our referring community wants. Like specific doctors, NPs, PAs, they all like their special things.
Protocols.
They like their special protocols.
Yeah.
So that probably helps out too. And when you have a new hire, you can say, this doctor likes this. That doctor doesn't like that.
Even our radiologists are all different. So certain ones like certain protocols. So certain ones like certain additives to the CAT scan. But yeah, I've just learned that over the years and just kind of force fed it to my techs.
Yeah.
So
it's like when you have kids and you can't treat them all the same because they're different people. It's like that. You can't just treat every staff member the same. You can't treat every referring provider the same. Everyone has the things they like, and you have to adapt. And I think you'd be very helpful in teaching the new hires of
all the new protocols, all the new things.
Right. I've even taken new techs or even seasoned techs get nervous to talk to a radiologist.
Yeah.
And I know the radiologist so well. I will walk back there with them, and I'm like, this is the question you're going to ask them. This is, and I tell my techs, let the radiologist know who you are, because the more you interact with the radiologist, because a lot of them are nervous, they're doctors, and so they don't want to talk to the doctor. I don't want to bother. But I tell them, make yourself known. I was told that when I was a tech a long time ago. Make yourself known to the radiologist. And so when you develop a relationship with the radiologist, it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah.
Because then they're there to help you.
Right.
And they know that you know what you're talking about, or that you're trying to get the best possible images for them to make their life easy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one thing I want to get out in this thing is that techs need to communicate with the radiologist. They need to really be a team with them.
Yeah. And for somebody who's considering a CT career, specifically at Huntington-Hill, what's one message you would want them to know?
It's a great opportunity. It's a great job. It's never boring. Can be a little stressful because it is CT and things, are important in there. But like I tell my kids, it's just, I've enjoyed it all these years. I still learn. I'm still learning new protocols, new things that come out, AI, things like that are still very exciting to me. I still see things on images that I would never seen before. So like I said, it never gets boring. It's very, what's the word? Fulfilling. It's very fulfilling as a human being to see you're helping somebody and you're getting them through this exam, because you get claustrophobic patients too in CT.
Yeah.
And we walk them through it. And we've had a lot of claustrophobic patients that we have helped get through it, which is very fulfilling also.
Yeah, because if you can't do an MRI, they generally will then order a CT,
Right.
and they're already claustrophobic, and I
Right.
feel like you have to be the one to kind of get them through that test.
Yep. And I feel x-ray is a stepping stone. That's how I've always seen it. X-ray is just a stepping stone. So you start an x-ray, but you should really, I feel like you should really grow. Like you should go into other modalities. You should try other things. You should, just to kind of increase your knowledge in patient care and all that. But CT I've always thought was exciting.
So, Christy, you mentioned that, a lot of times you start with x-ray and then eventually go to other modalities. And you've been in this position for so long. If there is some advice you can give to someone who doesn't know what kind of career they want, would you recommend CT to them?
I would. Like I said with my sons went to college. They got their GEDs, and then they were like, "Oh, I don't really know what I want to do." Because my one son was like, "I kind of like science, biology," and so I'm like, "Well, you should just be an X-ray tech." I told him, I said, "You should just put your name on the list, be an X-ray tech." And they're like, "No, I don't really want to do that." And then the more I would talk to them, and the more they kind of looked, I go, "Just look into it." So they started looking at it, and then talking to their friends. And then they decided, my older one, he's 25. He's like, I want to do that. And so he got into it. It's his second year, so he's almost about to graduate. And all his friends now who thought they were going to do all these other things and go to these big universities are all following my son now. So they're like, "Oh, you know what? X-ray is a big field right now. I think I want to go into it too." So I'm so glad that my 25-year-old put himself in that position 2 years ago to get to where he is now. And I have a 23-year-old who put himself in there a year ago, so he's in the position to start also.
Wow.
So it makes me so happy that they're going into this career, because X-ray is becoming big now. There's a shortage of techs, and I think it's just a very valuable career to have. Healthcare, and I just think CT is great because it just keeps your mind busy. I mean, it just, like I said, there's always something new. It was just a great fit for me. I think it would be I always think it's a great fit for everybody. So
When are your sons going to be part of the Huntington-Hill family?
When is he
it's funny
joining the
because
team?
I've told my CEO and I've told my operations manager, I'm like, "Oh, we're going to hire my son, right?" And they're like, "Definitely."
So you can boss them around here and at home.
I
Perfect.
said, "Look, we're going to have extra employees. We're going to get my two sons. We're going to get them in the door." So, but yeah.
The Christy legacy grows.
That's right.
There we
That's
go.
right.
Yeah, I love that.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for explaining
you.
this to us, and hopefully somebody will find this helpful. And
I hope
if
so.
they are questioning a career,
Great career choice.
yeah. Well, thank you so much for
No worries.
joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thank you for tuning in to the Healthy Image podcast, where we talk all things health and wellness. As always, like and subscribe or share with a friend who might find this helpful. And as always, stay curious, stay engaged, and stay healthy. Bye.
Bye.